In this video, I provide further explanations concerning reading data from a file and writing output to a file. So in the main function that we use to read the data from the file, what we're going to do is add an exception statement here to check to see if the file that the user is trying to read even exists. See, if it doesn't exist, Python program will crash. If the user try to put in a file name that does not exist in the directory where the source code is located, or based upon the path that has been described where that file displays, if that file does not exist, the program will crash. So we use a derivative of the while loop. We say while true, ask the user to enter the correct file name. If the file name exists, we open the file and exit the loop. Otherwise, we ask the user to re-enter the correct file name. And this eliminates that Python program from crashing. That is the main purpose of exception statements as described in your chapter in the textbook. The data will then be stored in a variable name. We close the file where the data is read. Now we're going to open a file for output, write the results to a file, close the file where the data was written, and we end the main function that was used to read the data from the file. And then the last step would be to call the main function. And you saw the code previously, but let's take a look at it again. So you see where in Python we ask the user to enter a file name, and while it's true, let's try. And of course, this is the Python syntax: while true, colon, as a control construction, try, colon, and we are going to enter the file name. And rather than us having to enter the .txt, we will let the computer add that extension on for reading. And here we put in our exception statement: while file not found, error. If the file is not found, we want to print out, look, that file doesn't exist. Retype the correct file name where the data will be stored. Continue. The continue will enable the computer to go back to the true statement, allow the user to enter the information, the file name again, that is. Otherwise, we break out. So if the file exists, it's opened, and we go down to the next statement where we read the file contents and store it in an arbitrary variable name. We close the file. Every external file that we use, whether it be reading or write, has to be opened, it's manipulated, and then it's closed. And then the next statement is we ask the user to enter the file name where we wish to store the results. And of course, the output object is the object variable name that we use to represent where the file will be written. But we use the method write. So we're saying out file, which is the object where the file is going to be written, dot write method. And of course, at the end of every line, unfortunately, this is one manual way to do this in Python. Whenever we write an item on a line, it doesn't automatically do a line feed. So we have to add this \n for new lines. So here it just moves down one line on the print statement. But on the write, when you use a write statement, it just horizontally writes across continually. So to break that continuity for each line, you have to do \n, \n everywhere you want the computer to write a line. We have to manually tell the computer to tell the program rather to tell the computer to do a new line. Move the pointer down to a new line and write. And that's why you see that information. And then the last piece of information that you see is just a message to the user to let them know what's going on. So I'll just put on here, message to user, letting the user know what's happened. The contents of the file, the input file has been written to the output file. Be sure to view it in the same folder where your Python source code was stored. Please make sure you understand every statement as you advance from one program to the next. Feel free to view this program. It is outlined in the appropriate week, and the actual program is there for you to look at. And you want to also pay close attention to the pseudocode to make sure you understand that pseudocode.